Hey, friends, let's talk about dogs with congestive heart failure. We're going to rewrite the prognosis. If your dog has been diagnosed with congestive heart failure, I know how scary that sounds. Your vet may have told you there's nothing you can do beyond medication. It will progress and that your time with your dog is limited. But here's what I want you to know. A diagnosis of heart disease is not a death sentence. There are things you can do, real practical things, to support your dog's heart, improve their quality of life, and in some cases, reverse the damage and extend their time with you. In most dogs with heart failure, what's happening is that their mitral valve has started to break down. It gets thick and lumpy and floppy, just like a door that doesn't close all the way anymore. And when that door doesn't close properly, blood leaks backwards with every heartbeat. And this is called mitral valve disease. And it's the number one cause of heart disease in dogs, especially small breed dogs. So I had a dog named Snickerdoodle and a dog named Emma back when I only did conventional medicine. And I wish I knew what I knew now then, because I did all the conventional things and it wasn't pretty. So I want you to also know that your dog's heart is incredibly resilient. It can compensate for that leaky valve for months or even years. But over time, the heart has to work harder and harder to push the blood forward. And the chambers will stretch and enlarge because the blood is going backwards. And eventually, blood starts to back up into the lungs or in the belly. And that's why it's called congestive heart failure. Fluid is backing up. The congestion is fluid where it shouldn't be. So, in your dog, it may look like coughing, especially at night or when lying down or after excitement, panting and trouble breathing, breathing harder than normal, especially during walks, getting tired more easily. Their gums or tongue may be a little bluish or purplish instead of pink. And in advanced cases, they might have a distended abdomen or a swollen belly, along with the cough or even fainting episodes. So if your dog has been diagnosed with a heart murmur, that's the sound of blood leaking through that floppy valve. The louder the murmur, generally the more leakage is happening. So that's the conventional picture. Your vet might call it degenerative mitral valve disease or myxomatous mitral valve disease, same thing. It's the most common heart disease in dogs. So why does this happen? Conventional medicine doesn't fully know. There's likely a genetic component, especially in breeds like Cavalier King Charles Spaniels, Poodles, Dachshunds, Chihuahuas, and other small breeds. The theory is that something goes wrong with the connective tissue that makes up the valve. And over time, with the repetitive motion of the opening and closing thousands of times a day, that valve just wears out. So conventional medicine has picked up on something holistic medicine has known for a long time, that part of the root cause is endothelial dysfunction, which is a fancy way of saying the inner lining of blood vessels isn't working properly. And this lining is supposed to produce a substance called nitric oxide. This substance keeps blood vessels flexible and healthy. And when that lining gets damaged, it contributes to the progression of heart disease. Spoiler alert, leaky gut and chronic inflammation is one of the root causes of endothelial dysfunction. So, conventionally, your vet will likely prescribe medications like enalapril, pimobendan or vetmedin, furosemide or Lasix, spironolactone. These medications can be very helpful, even life-saving, but there's more to the story and more you can do that your vet probably has no clue about. So the holistic view on endothelial dysfunction actually is one of my aha moments. So inflammation is the body's alarm response, and oxidative stress is a kind of chemical wear and tear. This happens when there are too many free radicals, which are reactive molecules, and the body doesn't have enough antioxidant protection to prevent this. Your dog's heart valves are covered by that thin layer of cells, so a smooth protective layer on the valve. And when they're healthy, those cells help the valve stay slick and flexible and well organized. But when there's ongoing inflammation and oxidative stress, that protective lining gets irritated and chemically stressed, and it starts sending the wrong signals. And in some tissues, like the valve, those lining cells can start acting less like smooth lining cells and more like scarred cells, trying to repair itself with scar tissue. So the problem is repair is helpful after injury, but if it keeps happening, like it does with valve disease, it can lead to thickening and remodeling of the valve, and that changes how the valve works. So what causes that chronic inflammation and excess free radicals and oxidative stress in the body that's leading to the scarring of the mitral valve? Processed food, kibble and canned food, pharmaceuticals, lots of medications, over-vaccination, flea and tick pesticides, all destroy the microbiome and cause inflammation in the body. Also, environmental toxins, cleaning products, air fresheners, scented candles, lawn chemicals, they all affect the microbiome in the gut, which is where your immune system is. 80% of your immune system is in the gut. Even stress, like emotional stress, can affect how inflammation occurs in the body. And what we're really talking about here is leaky gut. And leaky gut is, your dog's intestinal lining is supposed to act like a barrier, letting nutrients through, but keeping toxins and bacteria and undigested food particles out of the bloodstream. And when it gets damaged from processed food, antibiotics, over-vaccination, pesticides, stress, that mesh gets holes in it. Now things are leaking through into the bloodstream that shouldn't be there. And what happens next is the immune system goes on high alert. Inflammation fires up everywhere. And that chronic low-grade inflammation damages blood vessels and blood vessel linings throughout the body, including the heart. That's the endothelial dysfunction that we just talked about. So here's the chain reaction. Processed food, toxins, stress leads to leaky gut, leads to chronic inflammation, leads to damaged blood vessels, and then we get heart disease. So let's talk about what you can actually do. If your dog with heart disease is still eating kibble or canned food, the single biggest thing you can do is switch to a fresh, real food diet. Processed food is cooked at high temperatures, and this creates advanced glycation end products, or AGEs, which accumulate in the body and drive inflammation. They directly damage blood vessel linings, which is endothelial dysfunction, and they make heart disease worse. So fresh food, real meat, real vegetables, lightly cooked or raw, does the opposite. It does not produce inflammation. It supports healthy blood vessels. and it gives the body actual nutrition it can use to heal. Let me show you. Let's see. I'm going to show you a diet, a homemade diet. Let me show you a homemade diet. Dr. Judy Morgan has a nice homemade diet for dogs with heart disease that's balanced and easy to make. So there's an option for diet for your dog. So just scan the QR code. I'll also put the links under the video. If you're not into cooking for your dog, that's okay. There are commercial foods. So Judy Morgan also has a commercial line of foods called All Provide. Love them. My dogs eat them. They like the pork and the beef, and some of my dogs like the chicken and the turkey. So really nice brand. And then the other brand I like of fresh food diets for dogs and cats is Raised Right. So Karen Becker and Barbara Royale formulated this one, which is fabulous. All right. So the bottom line is real food is medicine. It's the foundation everything else builds on. And your dog likely needs gut support too. So things like probiotics, digestive enzymes. Let me pull up my gut support bundle. So this is a bundle of supplements for pets that need support for their intestines, their gastrointestinal system, which most pets do. And these are core supplements like the probiotics and digestive enzymes. But what about herbs and supplements? So the heart muscle needs specific fuel to function. And some of the key players are L-carnitine, which is an amino acid that helps the heart produce energy, or the heart muscle produce energy. Taurine, which is a critical amino acid for heart function. CoQ10 or ubiquinol is an antioxidant. Heart cells need a lot of it. Vitamin E protects heart cells from oxidative damage. Hawthornberry is an herb that's been used for centuries to support heart function, and it helps strengthen the heartbeat and supports healthy blood pressure. Another herb is called danshen, or red sage, or Salvia milturiza, and that's used to support the heart and circulation by improving blood flow. Let me show you a supplement that I recommend that actually has all this in there. This is a heart support supplement with all these nutraceuticals and herbs in it. That is a nice adjunct to what you may already be doing for your dog with heart disease. And it's safe along with the pharmaceuticals. All right, so other things, Chinese herbal formulas. This is where the magic happens. So one of the ones I think about for heart problems commonly is Shui Fu Ziyu Tong. This formula nourishes blood and gets circulation moving to the outside of the body, or the periphery. By improving peripheral circulation, it takes the workload off the heart. So it can help clear up fluid from the lungs and even reduce the amount of diuretic medication like furosemide or Lasix that your dog needs. So you definitely want to keep in touch with your vet or cardiologist when you're adding all these supplements. With the Shui Fu Ziyu Tong, studies have shown that it increases quality of life and longevity in dogs with heart disease, which is freaking awesome. The other herbal formula that I use is Xiao Chai Hu Tong. And sometimes I'll use Xiao Chai Hu Tong, and sometimes I'll use a modification of it called Chai Hu Jia Longu Muli Tong. Just depends on the dog. Each pet will have a different pattern of disharmony. So all these herbs would be tailored to your specific dog. So these are generalizations. So Xiao Chai Hu Tong we talked about before in a previous video, but it helps regulate circulation throughout the body. It also calms anxiety, which is awesome because a lot of these guys are pretty anxious. Supports the liver, it helps with coughing, helps with breathing difficulty, and it's insulin sensitizing. So insulin resistance and endothelial dysfunction go hand in hand. So this formula addresses that connection. And again, it's safe to use alongside conventional heart medications. So one of my favorite herbalists and veterinarians and colleagues is Dr. Steve Marsden. And when I was in Australia at his conference with him and his wife, Corinne, who is also a veterinarian, he talked about his holy trinity for heart support. And I was like, that is a freaking awesome name. So his holy trinity for heart support is Xiao Chai Hu Tong with the Shui Fu Zuyu Tong, and he adds Buzong Yi Qi Tong, which supports the ability of the heart to circulate blood effectively, but it also addresses the fatigue and the weakness and the decline in vitality that's really common in dogs with heart disease. So let me show you. This is the Holy Trinity bundle of those 3 herbs put together. And that's Dr. Steve Marsden. He's a great guy. Fabulous, brilliant veterinarian and herbalist. All right. So other things that I think of for heart disease are things like omega-3 fatty acids. This is a core supplement for really any pet and any person, basically fish oil. It's anti-inflammatory. It supports blood vessel health, supports heart rhythm, and it's a no-brainer for any dog with heart disease. So I have a omega-3 bundle. Let me put that up. And basically, it's just a variety of different types of fish oil. So either liquid or capsule, and then different sizes of the bottles. And basically, you want to get kind of a smaller bottle of fish oil because you want to make sure that you use it within 30 days. So don't buy ginormous bottles for a little dog because it'll go bad. It gets rancid after about 30 days, even in the fridge. So keep it in the fridge. Even if it's capsules, keep it in the fridge. Use them within 30 days. All right. Another thing I think about with heart problems is congestive heart failure and medicinal mushrooms. So medicinal mushrooms are a core supplement. They're great for the immune system. And there are different mushrooms that excel in different things. So the mushroom that excels in problems with the heart and lungs is cordyceps. So cordyceps mushroom supports energy production, respiratory function, and has anti-aging properties. And I like a mushroom supplement that combines the cordyceps with astragalus and ginseng, which really helps with the fatigue that we see with dogs with heart problems. So astragalus and ginseng are adaptogens that help the body respond to stress. And cordyceps is also an adaptogen. Oh, let me put that up. This is the product that I use. All right. Let me get rid of that. All right, so here is what I want you to take away from today. Heart disease in dogs doesn't have to be a hopeless diagnosis. When we look at the whole dog, we have so many more options than just medication. We can address root causes. We can support the body's own ability to heal and compensate. We can improve quality of life in ways that are often remarkable. Let me tell you about one of my patients, Elvis. So, Elvis is a 12-year-old Shih Tzu, and I've been seeing him for over 6 years, and he comes in every other month now. He has other issues. I basically have been seeing him for back problems and hip problems, and intestinal or GI problems. And then when I saw him this last October for a routine acupuncture and chiropractic treatment for his issues, when I listened to his heart, he had a grade 3 murmur. And I was like, oh, snap. And I had just finally got this pet parent to feed real food. Like, she was consistently feeding a real food diet to her dogs. So I recommended a cardiac workup, so conventional tests, but I also recommended heart support supplements and specific herbs. But she didn't start them. And then I saw him again in December, and she still hadn't started the herbs and supplements. So I recommended them again. And in January, she called me and said that she could feel the murmur when she touched his chest. That's bad. So when you can feel a murmur through the chest when you just touch it, that's a grade 4 or higher murmur. So I knew that his murmur had progressed, had worsened, because when I saw him, it was a grade 3, and now she can feel it, which means it's a grade 4 or worse. So I sent her to her regular vet, and eventually she ended up at a cardiologist and had an echocardiogram done. And he had a grade 5 out of 6 murmur. That is significant. So he was diagnosed with degenerative valve disease. But interestingly enough, they didn't recommend any heart medication. They considered his issue mild. And fortunately, they did recommend some nutraceuticals, pretty much the same ones that I did. But they also recommended crappy kibble and canned food. So that's the difference with conventional versus holistic. So she finally started the heart support supplement, and she finally started the herbs I recommended. And I saw him in March of this year, and his murmur was at a 2 out of 6. So he went from a 5 out of 6 in January to a 2 out of 6 in March. That's significant. Like, that doesn't happen in conventional medicine. They don't see murmurs get better. They just see them get worse. So they just watch them get worse and they modify the medicine. So the murmur improved in just a few months. And then I saw him again last month in May, and he literally had no murmur. I could not hear a murmur. So 4 months of herbs, supplements, and real food, no pharmaceuticals, and he had no murmur. So that's not magic. That's good medicine. That's looking at the whole picture and giving the body what it needs. So if your dog has heart disease and you want to explore what's possible, I offer telehealth consultations, and I look at everything. I look at your pet's records, the intake forms you fill out, pictures of your pet, pictures of your pet's tongue, and I put together a plan with specific supplements and herbal formulas, and I give you all the details. Let me find a link to that. All right, there's a link to it. Fabulous. Okay, so that's my consults. All right, so thank you for watching today. So if this was helpful, please share it with a friend that maybe has a dog with a heart murmur or heart disease, because you could actually give them some hope. that they really didn't know existed. And I want to give you a free guide too. I don't want to forget that. So down, free guide. All right. So since you made it to the end with me, here's a free guide. While your pet is still sick. So it talks about conventional versus holistic medicine and what you can do. You can do a lot. There's a lot we can do. And for heart disease, it can be pretty magical. I must say that I haven't had many dogs respond so quickly as Elvis did, except for I remember one time I had I think it was a Dalmatian that all of a sudden developed this like grade 1 out of 6 murmur, and the next time I saw him, it was gone. And that can happen. They can get kind of physiological murmurs that go away, but his was a 5 out of 6. Like there was clearly things going wrong in his heart. Um, but thank you. I will see you next week. I'm going to go over um, ears, chronic ear infections. We're going to do another um, fun talk about another chronic illness that's really common in dogs and cats. All right, so I'll see you then.